Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I guess this is kind of a thoughts and theories I'm doing about season 3 of Lucifer. Obviously, I'm going to be talking about some stuff, obviously, that I brought up during my review of the season 2 finale, as well as just stuff that went down in season 2 and what that means for season 3. But so I mean, first of all, if you've not seen Lucifer at all, you need to change that. Like, it's a very good show that I highly recommend you check out. First thing I want to bring up is something that someone kind of left a comment about when my review of season 2's finale. They kind of were like, they left a comment of being like, oh, what if in fact that thing at the end, obviously we see Lucifer's got his wings, he wakes up in the desert and has got his wings and everything. Obviously my mind immediately goes, oh, obviously, like, oh, someone gave him his wings back and everything. But then someone pointed out, it's like, oh, what if it's actually an earlier event that's actually Lucifer when he first came to Earth? Which I immediately responded, I was like, oh, that'd be sick, that'd be pretty cool, because that didn't even cross my mind to think about that. Because I mean, and someone else kind of responded to very similarly, that it's like, oh yeah, that'd be cool, because they'd love to see kind of early days of Lucifer, myself included, like, because that's something we haven't never really tackled on. Like, obviously, like, by the time the series start, like, Lucifer has been on Earth for a little while. I could have sworn a number being thrown around was 5 years, but I don't know whether that's just something I came up with or that's something from the comic books. Maybe that's not, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen like the first season, so I don't remember if that, I feel like that was brought up at the beginning, but maybe nevertheless, he's been here for a little while. Which then begs the question, why is it only now that, like, why is it now at the beginning of the series that Amenadel comes after him, It's like, is it because of the whole grand scheme of like non-human beings, celestial beings and supernatural beings, that time moves slowly for them because they age the way they do, don't age at all? So was it like it took that long for God and Amenadel to realize, or was it just because like, something's off here in hell and everything, so like Amenadel went to go check it out and it's like, oh, Lucifer's going, it's like try and track him down. Not let's Amenadel, I mean, because we don't really know how many different realms there are out there, like in this universe. Like I've talked about it a little bit from when I did a nerd mode on Lucifer, but the fact is, like, at least within the comic books, there are multiple realms, which I don't know if it's just 3 realms where it's like heaven, hell, and earth, or whether there are other realms too. But who's to say Amenadel wasn't tracking him down those 5, well, however long Lucifer's been on Earth, like he's just going to different realms, and it just took him a very long time to finally track down Lucifer. But nevertheless, getting back to the point, I kind of left that point off because I kind of got sidetracked right there, is like, this would be an opportunity to learn about Lucifer's early days, like him getting accustomed to humanity and stuff like that, especially finding out what he can do that basically can make humans speak their desires. Did he always know that about himself, or is that something he discovered when he came to Earth and everything? What was it exactly that made Lucifer decide to stay on Earth? Maybe that's something we'll kind of see pop up in season 3. I mean, this might also be an opportunity to find out more about Maze's past, because like we know very little about Maze. We know, like, season 2 brought up the fact is that she was kind of a torturer of sorts, because she brings up the fact is that she tortured his mom. So it seems like that might have been her main, like she was kind of like the main one to deal out punishment. So that seemed like that was kind of her job. But it's like, I mean, along those same questions, along that same line, it's like, how do demons exist in in that universe? Did Lucifer make them, or were demons always around before Lucifer even went to hell? Because a thing that kind of comes up in my mind too is like, obviously we got introduced a little bit more to hell. We kind of learned a bit more about how it runs. That it doesn't, I mean, to our knowledge right now, it doesn't seem like it necessarily needs someone there. I mean, after the whole mom fiasco, like Amenadel hasn't been all about like, oh, let's go back to, because all of season 2 was about, oh, let's go to heaven. So it's never been let's go back home to heaven, but never like, oh, send Lucifer back to hell. Like that was all he wanted in season 1, but it never came up in season 2 for him to want that. I mean, because it's like, oh yeah, the main reason why this happened is because mom got out of hell because you weren't here to guard her doing your job like you're supposed to and watch over hell. But that brings up the question of like, if, like, say for example, if demons already were an established thing, like how is it that I mean, being as powerful as Lucifer is, I guess he could, like, beat down anyone that challenges him. And I think that'd be something interesting too, like demons that have come to like usurp Lucifer, track him down on Earth, trying to kill him or something like that. That'd be kind of interesting. Like, I mean, because like there's so many different possibilities this show could go down. Like, I'm not saying that necessarily this is stuff that would happen. It'd be pretty cool if it would happen, but I mean, because I think I remember looking this up during my when I was going back to the nerd mode I made. Like, I think they went out of their way to say like Lucifer won't be traveling to other realms. Obviously we've seen him focus more on the hell side of things more recently, like, because we still haven't seen the more celestial side of, like, well, I mean, that still kind of all counts as the celestial side, but the more heavenly side of things. But we never, like, we delved a little bit into like hell, so I'm wondering, are there going to be any other worlds that we kind of you know, people coming from or Lucifer going to. I highly doubt it, because like I think they're saying like, yeah, Lucifer's going to stay in LA from like the article I was reading a little while back. Because to me, I feel like a big thing that's going to come, like, I think a big storyline that could pop up in season 3, kind of, if any of that turned out to be true, is like dealing with the ramifications of stuff that Lucifer might have started in the beginning of like his first days here on Earth or something like that. Trouble he started then because he didn't know any better is coming back to kind of bite him in the ass, essentially. And like I brought up earlier, like, what if it turns out that it was one specific human that got Lucifer to decide to stay here, things didn't work out or something, and then it turns into a whole situation of like a new possible love interest kind of pops up. We kind of dealt with that a little bit in season 2, the whole like him marrying Candy, but that was its own thing. That was just kind of getting her out of trouble. Like that was a whole act and everything, which I wonder, will Lucifer ever tell Chloe about that? Will he even tell her at all? Would she, like, because he's in the process of telling her. I mean, because Linda brought it up this season, like, you've told me the truth, but the one person that you're closer to than anybody, Chloe, you've actually yet to tell her who you really are. So mainly because he's scared, because he's afraid, like because he has feelings for her. I mean, plus he's also dealing with the whole situation of like, I mean, later on he eventually like, oh, finding out that Chloe's been put in his path and everything like that, like, oh, her feelings for him might not be genuine, because it's like, oh, you were made to kind of feel that way because my dad put you in this path, like for us to meet and everything. Which I feel like that'd be another layer of things we kind of deal with in season 3, would be like more about why Chloe was put in Lucifer's path. Like I've talked about it, like I thought like, you know, his dad's just trying to do some good because he knows that who Lucifer could be. And yes, his dad's a bit manipulative and everything, but it's just because like he doesn't know, like maybe he's just not very good at being a parent. He doesn't know how to be a good parent to Lucifer. He's like, I know how good my son can be. He just needs the opportunity to be shown like, hey, you're not bad. You know, maybe all of this is some big, like his own weird way of an apology or something, or maybe there's like a grander scheme to this that we just don't know about yet. But the thing I was getting to, once again, kind of getting sidetracked and everything, it's like, oh, what if like someone from the past, like a possible love interest that made him decide to want to stay on Earth, comes up, and that complicates things between him and Chloe, because the fact is that he has his feelings for Chloe, and the fact of the matter is, like, I don't know, I just definitely get the feeling like it might, if things turn out to be that way, then it could be a situation of like, hey, the past is coming back to rear its ugly head. But then again, you know, even if that's not what that thing at the very end with him having his wings, that he did get his wings back, I mean, the question I brought up during the season 2 finale is like, what did he, like, who would do that to him, and how would they be able to do it, considering the fact is that his wings were burned? Like, so that kind of leads more to the thought of, hey, maybe that's because that isn't real. I mean, is it possible for an angel to get their wings back, like once they're destroyed? I don't think there is. I mean, to our knowledge, you know, maybe it was someone that was sent by God that knocked him out. Once again, maybe it's someone from his past. There's so many different questions and opportunities. Like, that's why I'm bringing up the fact is, I think, like, that's why I'm making this such a, like, possibly a thoughts and theories, because like there's so many different possibilities of where this can go, and it won't be until like season 3 trailer drops that I'll probably really be able to kind of get a sense of like what might be going down in season 3. I mean, it'll also be a great opportunity to, like, I've thrown out like to introduce more of his siblings, because obviously season 1 we got introduced to him in Minadon, and obviously he's been stable throughout the entire series so far. Obviously we got introduced to Uriel. Sadly things ended the way they did, but this would be an opportunity to bring in other siblings, especially Azriel, since we were dealing with the whole her blade situation this season. It'd be kind of cool just having her, even if it's just like a 1 episode thing, just having her pop over on Earth. It's like, yo, Lucifer, where's my blade? Yeah, I've been hearing all this chatter about you guys here on Earth and my blade was here and everything, which is the question, like, why is Azriel's blade here on Earth and not with her? Is it like, I mean, they could make it so that, like, you know, Azriel's a little ditzy and she didn't know where she left it at. It's just like, I've been looking all over the place for it and I heard it was here. And it's like, so Lucifer, where's my sword? I heard your last one had. Oh yeah, I kind of threw it in that pocket dimension that Mom's kind of got control of now. What? Yeah, she's like, well, you better go get it. Well, I can't cut open a pathway there anymore because I threw the blade in there. So I think that'd be kind of interesting. She's definitely like the one sibling that, you know, I'm very interested about. I mean, mainly because she's like the only sibling we really kind of went out of our way to really talk about. I mean, and going along that line, like, that might be another thing. I just thinking about this, like, I've been so focused on how he got to Earth, like, we really don't, like, I'm very interested to see how things I mean, it might not be something they ever touch on, like what exactly led to Lucifer like turning against God, his whole rebellion and everything, and being punished and sent to hell. Maybe we'll get a look at his early days in hell too, or something like that. I'm also very interested to see where Amenadal's story goes. I kind of talked about this in a review as well, but it's like, now that he's got his powers back, potentially, like I said, that might have been a moment of just like wanting to save Linda's life so much that he ended up drawing upon his powers. But then it's like, well, why was his powers blocked away in the first place? Was it always a mental thing? Because like for Amenadal, like season 2 was just kind of a roller coaster for him because he was losing his powers, but at the same time he started to think like, oh, dad was just using me. I was always a loyal son. Lucifer's a favorite, but then he finds out he's the favorite. It's like, oh yeah, like, you know, his belief in God was restored and everything, because he's like, no, like I turned away from the righteous path, but Dad had belief in me this whole time. That, you know, I just lost faith in him, but it's like now that faith's been reinstalled. I mean, what does that mean going forward for him and Maze? Because obviously he has feelings for Maze and everything still, and that was something that was never really, it came up a little bit in season 2, but obviously it didn't go to the extent that, you know, I'm sure Amenadal would want it to, because Lucifer was saying the whole thing of like, oh, are you really going to leave without saying anything to Maze about, you know, you leaving, because I know you fancy her and everything. And obviously this is also an opportunity to kind of, since we're talking about past and everything, and not even just past, but also character development, like Ella. I feel like next season will be a big season for Ella, maybe even Dan too, because we've yet to really dive too deeply into Dan. Obviously Dan's story played out the way it did in season 1, but we've never really been like any big Dan-centric storylines in season 2. Well, I mean, then again, it's like the whole like them separating and kind of getting divorced and everything. I mean, so far, I mean, it's been pretty amicable. Like, obviously, they're still working together and everything. Like, they had the reservations at the beginning, but now it's like it's slowly coming back together and everything. You know, we really don't know much about him. Obviously, we've been introduced to Chloe's dad's storyline. Like, I mean, like her parents. Like, obviously, we've been introduced to her mom. We found out about what happened to her dad. Her dad's murder was solved. But we don't know anything about Dan's side of the family. And also, like, you know, this season also introduced, you know, obviously we'll introduce Ella, as well as, you know, her brother, who has, you know, kind of, you know, they're on both sides of the system, where she's like works with law enforcement and he is kind of a criminal. But at the same time, it seems like, you know, Ella's kind of alluded to the fact that she's kind of done some stuff in her past too. So very interested to see, like, you know, like where their characters take us in like season 3. I mean, honestly, like, I'm super excited to see what would go down in season 3. Like I said, this is kind of a thoughts and theories, like I said before, but really probably dive a little deeper the moment we get like a season 3 trailer that kind of show like, oh yeah, this is what's going to happen this season. So till then, this is just kind of me rambling on about all these things. So let me know, like, in the comments down below, what are your thoughts about some stuff that you would like to see in season 3, what your thoughts are about anything that I've brought up, your own thoughts that you like say, oh, this could possibly be a thing, based on like just stuff that we've seen so far, or your own knowledge of the comic books. You know, just let me know in the comments down below. I just love to kind of hear, you know, your thoughts and everything, because I'm super excited to see, you know, season 3. I mean, granted, we'll be waiting a while, but I mean, I doubt it will be a very long while, because it is coming back this fall and everything. So, but really, that's all I want to talk about in this video. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.